Barely in his teens, Michael Jackson's childhood was well and truly over. He released his first solo single, Got to Be There, and the Jackson 5 embarked on yet another tour. Despite his age, Michael was fast becoming a teen idol.
We used to have little girls and things coming around, and boys visiting their fans. And at first I would let them in, and they would stay all day, and sometimes the girls would stay until after the buses were running anymore. And I wasn't going to let them stay all night, so I'd have to get out in my car and take them home. But after that got old with me, and I had to stop. I just didn't. And then we stopped letting them in. Then they would gather outside the gate.
In 1972, Michael recorded the title song from the feature film Ben. It gave him his first solo chart topper, and once again proved his ability to pluck heartstrings even when singing about the most unexpected object of desire.
That's one of my favorite songs that Michael did, Ben. You know, I mean, he put his heart and soul in that, because you know how he feels about animals, even though it was a rat. I mean, come on, you know. So it doesn't have to be that you have gone through all of those things to pull from the innermost feelings that you may have inside of you.
The ability to convey emotion with your voice is what separates, the way I see it, good singers from great singers, is that ability to make you just feel what they are singing. And that's what Michael was so good at.
After 8 years and 14 albums, the Jackson 5 left Motown when their request for more creative input was turned down. Minus Jermaine, who remained with Motown, the band joined the Epic label in 1976 as the Jacksons. The first album with Epic went gold, and rumors about Michael splitting from his brothers and going solo began to circulate.
I will stay in your heart, and when things fall apart.
One of the lawyers called me one day and told me to tell the other boys that they better start saving their money, because Michael was going on his own. Michael was only 17 at the time. He hadn't graduated yet. And I told him no. I said, you can't do that. And he said, well, why? I said, because I know you said that Michael doesn't need his brothers. I said, but right now they need him.
For the time being, Michael Jackson continued to perform with his brothers. But before long, his ambition as a solo artist would lead him to create the biggest video of all time.
Thriller went for the juggles. There was no question. It was like, bang!
Though he made 4 solo albums for Motown, Michael Jackson felt he was ready for creative control of his own solo album. All he needed was a producer, Quincy Jones, who shared his vision.
She's out of my life. She's out of my life.
Having worked with Quincy and New York from The Wiz, when he decided to do a solo album, that's who he petitioned. It's like, okay, you're the guy.
You have to talk about the cooperative of Michael and Quincy. Quincy's production and arrangement and incredible musicians and team with Quincy at the helm and Michael at the top of his singing game
You had Michael always pushing for a new sound, and Quincy, who knew always what was going to sell. You couldn't help but make a fabulous record.
The music is jazz. It's jazz with a rhythm and blues rock flavor to it. But the chord progression and all those things like that are jazz. That's what made those albums so big.
Released in 1979, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough went straight to #1. It was the first song on which Michael was the sole writer.
Sometimes I hear him in the middle of the night and screaming. He'd jump up out of the bed and go, woo, you know, like, woo. And I thought, what is it? He said, he just got an idea while he was laying in bed, and get up and he'd write it down. And then that's how he writes. Don't stop till you get enough, people. With a full stop. Don't stop till you get enough, people.
Michael had that now sound and some new innovative things to bring to the table.
Touch me, and I cannot. There's the lead vocal, which he sings. Then there's the background vocals, most of which he sang himself on his own records. He would double his voice, triple it, and then do the harmonies, all kinds of things, bring in other people if he wanted to. And then there was the third voice that nobody had done like Michael ever.
Just listen at the music. You know, all little things like that. That riff had never been done.
Girl, close your eyes, let that rhythm get into you.
Rock With You off the Wall is my favorite one. That's my favorite one. And it's smooth, but you still feel the energy of it, even though it's kind of a mid-tempo song. That one seemed to be kind of, in a lot of ways, stripped away from the dancing and the performing and everything else, and you just go straight ahead forward with you. You just get a clear example of what a talented vocalist he is when that's properly applied.
Rock With You also topped the charts as Michael celebrated his 21st birthday. Off the Wall became the first album to produce 4 top 10 hits in the US and the first to produce 5 in the UK. With the next album, Michael Jackson would truly come of age.
Here was Michael Jackson, a man who was going to come out with this album that nobody had heard. This was the first single off it. It's all we heard. We didn't hear the rest of the album. So we knew very little about it except this one track. The record companies were very naive, and the management and the bands really hadn't done any videos, so there was very little brief. It was pretty much a blank page. I got a call from the management saying, oh, by the way, Michael Jackson wants to dance and should dance he's a great dancer during some of this. And I said, well, you know, of course. So I got a handheld camera in front of him, and we played the chorus, and he just was amazing. He just danced out his way along these stones that lit up, and this poor electrician was trying to keep up with the lights that came on. I could see through that lens that the here was so phenomenal. It was going to be unleashed on the world.
Wondered if he would be able to follow up the success of Off the Wall. No black performance sold that many records domestically. Now people don't even remember that Off the Wall was as successful as it was because Thriller just blew the doors off of everything.
Everybody waited for the Thriller video. They trailed the Thriller video for months before you saw it. I mean, and everybody knew exactly what time on earth we were all going to watch that. Thriller went for the jugular. There was no question. It was like, bang!
Cause it's a starlight night That's what it was originally, and I watched it unfold where Quincy and Michael were in the room, and there was the feeling that he needed something a little more ambitious.
I wasn't that scared. I was scared.
Quincy and Michael started feeding, about, what would it be if it was like a thriller, like a scary movie, and we could get Vincent Price. Barker, do you have a wolf sound? And I put up a woo.